Imagine uncovering secrets so terrifying that they could change everything you thought you knew. From eerie disappearances to ancient rituals never meant to be seen, today we dive into the top 10 creepiest secrets of ancient civilizations. Brace yourself, because some of these are beyond belief. Number 10. The Whispering Tombs of the Forgotten Kings. Buried deep beneath the earth, lost for centuries, until one fateful day. Archaeologists, expecting a routine dig, accidentally opened a tomb unlike any seen before. The air inside? Toxic, filled with ancient spores, as if the chamber itself didn't want to be disturbed. Why? Because inside, there weren't just remains. There were perfectly preserved bodies, sitting upright, mouths slightly open, as if they had been frozen mid-scream. Stranger still, their vocal cords showed signs of damage, as if they had been screaming for days before death finally silenced them. And then the discovery that sent chills down every expert's spine. Engraved on the walls was an untranslated warning, roughly deciphered to say, "They still whisper. Do not let them speak again." The next night, security cameras caught something horrifying. The sound of low whispers, coming from inside the tomb. What was silenced inside these tombs? And is it truly silent now? Number 9. The Curse of the Shadow Empire. A long-forgotten empire, wiped from history as if it never existed. No records, no mentions, except one. A scroll, found in an abandoned monastery, spoke of a kingdom so cursed, its very name was erased from time. The scroll described their fate. One night, without warning, everyone in the kingdom vanished. No sign of war, no evidence of struggle, just gone. Their homes untouched, food still warm on their tables. It was as if the entire population had simply walked into the night and disappeared. But then came the real horror. Hundreds of years later, explorers stumbled upon the ruins of this vanished kingdom. And what they found was beyond belief. Thousands of perfectly preserved human shadows, burned into the walls, streets, and doorways. It was as if some unimaginable force had incinerated their bodies, but left their shadows behind. But here's the twist. When scientists analyzed the remains, the shadows weren't centuries old. They were fresh, as if whatever happened to them was still happening. And then, the lead scientist disappeared without a trace. The last thing he ever said? "I think I hear them calling my name." Number 8. The Temple of the Hollow Gods. In the middle of a dense, untouched jungle, satellite imaging revealed a massive temple, one that should not exist. No civilization nearby, no records of its creation. But when researchers finally reached it, the air itself felt wrong. The temple had no doors, only one narrow tunnel leading inside. Carvings along the walls depicted human figures kneeling before featureless, empty beings. Figures with holes where their faces should be, and at the heart of the temple, a single stone altar. But it wasn't empty. Resting on top was a severed human head, fully preserved, yet completely hollow. No brain, no skull, just a perfect empty shell of a head. Then came the horror. One explorer, daring to touch the altar, let out a scream. The others turned, but he was gone. Not just missing. His shadow remained on the ground, but his body was completely erased from existence. His voice, however, it echoed through the temple for hours. And when the team fled, a final message was revealed, scratched into the walls. They are not gods, they are waiting. Number 7. The Screaming Canyon. That should not exist in a remote desert, a canyon exists that no maps record, as if it refuses to be known. Travelers speak of an eerie pull, a sensation of being watched. But the real terror begins when the wind picks up, because when it blows through the canyon, it does not sound like wind. It sounds like screaming. Geologists who visited noted unexplainable formations, rocks that seemed twisted, as if melted by an unknown force. But then came the most chilling discovery. Buried beneath the canyon walls were human bones, warped and fused into the stone itself. Somehow, at some point, living people had been absorbed into the rock. But here's the true nightmare. A recording device, left behind overnight, captured something beyond belief. At exactly 3:13 a.m., the screaming stopped. And in its place, a voice was heard. A voice that should not exist. It simply said, "You are listening. And now we listen to you." The next morning, the recorder was gone. And where it had been placed, a new rock formation had appeared. One that looked eerily like a face. Number 6, the unfinished city that no one built. Deep in the mountains, a group of hikers stumbled upon something impossible. A city, but not an ancient one. A city that looked like it was being built, but no one was there. The structures were massive, detailed, complete with streets, plazas, even unfinished statues, as if a civilization had been in the middle of constructing it, and then vanished overnight. There were no tools, no remains, no sign of who or what had been building it, just silence. Then came the most terrifying discovery. One of the statues, unfinished, depicted a human figure. But its face? It was perfectly sculpted. Too perfect. Because it looked exactly like one of the hikers. And then, before their very eyes, the unfinished hands of the statue moved. The hikers ran, and when they returned with authorities, the city was gone. No ruins, no remains, just an empty valley. But left behind? A single, fresh carving on a rock. "We are still building. And now, we know your face." Wait, what if I told you that things are about to get even more disturbing? But before we dive into the top 5, make sure to subscribe. Because hitting your subscribe button can give me new motivation to work harder and succeed. And trust me, you won't believe what's coming next. Number 5, the lighthouse that watches back. A remote lighthouse, abandoned for decades, but never truly empty. Locals whispered about strange lights flickering inside long after it was decommissioned, but no one dared step inside. Until one night, a group of explorers did. What they found? The walls inside were covered in deep claw marks, as if someone or something had tried desperately to escape. But there were no doors inside, just endless staircases winding up, leading to nothing. Then came the most chilling moment. One explorer looked out from the lighthouse window and screamed. The others rushed over but saw nothing outside. "It's still watching me," he whispered, his voice shaking, his pupils completely dilated. Hours later, he vanished. His camera was found, its final recording showing only his terrified face, as if something had been staring directly back at him through the window. The most terrifying part? The footage had a voice whispering, "Now you see us too." That's when the rest of the group realized. The claw marks on the walls weren't from people trying to escape. They were from something trying to get in. Number 4, the staircase to nowhere. A deep forest. No trails, no maps, just silence. Yet, hidden among the trees, people began to report seeing a staircase. No buildings around, no ruins, just a perfectly preserved staircase, standing alone. The unsettling part. It looked brand new, as if someone had just built it yesterday. But the real nightmare? Those who climbed it were never seen again. A search party was sent, one member deciding to test the stairs, just 2 steps up. Instantly, everything changed. The forest around them went silent. No birds, no wind, just nothing. Then, the sky darkened. And in that terrifying moment, the search party swore they saw something at the top of the stairs, not moving, not human, just watching. The team member jumped down, only to find that he had lost 5 days of time. To him, it was just a few seconds. But the true horror, his shadow, never returned. To this day, no one knows who or what builds those stairs, or why they keep appearing. Number 3, the village that sleeps in shifts. A remote village where no one sleeps in the same time, ever. At first, it seemed bizarre. Then, the truth emerged. They're not allowed to. Locals told researchers in whispers that if every villager slept at once, something wakes up. They spoke of a night decades ago when the entire village, for the first time ever, fell asleep together. And when they woke, half the town was missing. No screams, No blood. Just gone. The survivors never spoke of what happened, but they never made that mistake again. One researcher tried to stay awake alone, recording what happened overnight. The next morning, his camera was found, but he wasn't. And his recording? It showed his terrified eyes staring at something just off screen. The last thing he ever whispered? It's not that we wake it up. It's that it wakes us up first. To this day, no outsider has ever spent a full night there, and no one ever should. Number 2, the bridge that ends before you cross it. An ancient bridge, hidden deep in the mountains, said to lead to a place that does not exist. Locals warned explorers, do not cross it after dark. If you do, you will never reach the other side. It sounded like just another legend. But then, people started testing it. Cameras were set up. Hikers walked across. Everything seemed fine, until they reviewed the footage. One by one, each person walking on the bridge vanished before they reached the other side. Not all at once. Not instantly. But step by step. Piece by piece. First, their legs disappeared. Then their torsos. Then their heads. Yet, they never noticed. They just kept walking, until nothing remained. As if they were crossing into somewhere they were never meant to go. The last recorded attempt? The hiker made it halfway before turning back. When he did, he screamed, because there was nothing behind him anymore. The bridge no longer connected to the land. He ran, but the bridge had already decided. He never made it back. Number 1. The room that was never meant to be found. It started as a routine renovation of a centuries-old building. Workers were knocking down walls when they stumbled upon something terrifying. A hidden room with no doors, no windows. Just a single chair, sitting in the middle. The dust in the room? Undisturbed for hundreds of years. And then, the air turned ice cold. One worker, stepping inside, saw something on the walls. Faint scratches as if someone had been locked inside for decades, but never let out. But the true horror was carved into the floor. A single sentence written over and over again. Do not let him sit. Then, the lights went out. When they came back on, the chair had moved, but no one had touched it. And the worker closest to it? He was gone. All that remained was his shadow, burned into the wall behind the chair, as if he had never left, and never would. Still watching? That means you survived. But for how long? If this video gave you chills, make sure to subscribe, because hitting your subscribe button can give me new motivation to work harder and succeed. And now I want to hear from you. Which secret was the most terrifying? Let me know in the comments. And tell me what top 10 list you want to see next. See you in the next video, if you dare.